here to mourn the passing of American greatness. The real thing, not cheap rhetoric from men who will never come near the sacrifice he gave so willingly, nor the opportunistic appropriation of those who live lives of comfort and privilege while he suffered and served. The America of John McCain has no need to be made great again because America was always great.
Welcome to the Jimmy Mathis Show. That was Meghan McCain, a soundbite that has been played over and over. Meghan McCain, of course, the daughter of John McCain, remarks that she made during the eulogy of her father at the National Cathedral. The focal point, the flashpoint of all the talking head shows yesterday, Senator Graham defending her.
Well, number one, she's a beautiful, talented young lady. She is her father's daughter. If you say something bad about her dad, you will know it. Whether you're the janitor or the President of the United States, she is grieving for the father she adored. And I think most Americans understand that, and I am just so proud of the young lady she has become. So I'm totally okay with everything.
And for all the criticism that Meghan McCain has caught over the last few days, I agree with Senator Graham. And who knows how they're going to respond when you say something bad about your dad. And Meghan McCain was on the big stage. There were many big stages last week. I don't fault her for that. I'm not sure that I personally would have used that platform to do it, but that's her discretion. And the reality is there was an ongoing beef, obviously, between John McCain and Donald Trump, as there was with Donald Trump and anybody that has sought high office. Ted Cruz is probably one of the best examples of this. Donald Trump basically calling Ted Cruz's wife a pig and claimed that Ted Cruz's father was involved in the Kennedy assassination. So put Donald Trump aside for a second, because that's really not what the story was about last week. And I'm trying to figure out what the story was as we remember John McCain, the Maverick. 4 days worth of funerals, ladies and gentlemen. 4 politicized days of funerals. I was publicly criticized over a radio station over the weekend for my past criticism of John McCain. And I did a lot of soul searching on whether to do this segment or not, so I'm not going to pull any punches on it. Because I've been critical of John McCain over the years because he has been bad for the Republican Party. The criticism that was levied against me was, if you don't fall in line on every issue with the party, you're basically not a good Republican. That's not it at all. I think healthy debate is good for the party. I don't think the party is always right. Actually, I think the party has been off point for many, many years, removing the last 2. Donald Trump, keeping in mind, who used to be a Democrat, has been the biggest conservative this party has seen going back to Ronald Reagan. But you can't take the politics out of what we saw last week, so I'm not going to try to. Keep in mind, as we idolize John McCain personally planned every aspect of all 4 of those funerals. It was political in nature. It wasn't to remember John McCain. If it was to remember John McCain, the family would have handled it. And as I'm watching this day in, day out, my heart goes out to his family, to his 94, 96-year-old mother at the Capitol in the Rotunda, to his wife, his son, his daughter, that had to attend 4 of these, 3 of them on national television. And let's be very clear about something. This was not to remember John McCain. That's not what John McCain wanted out of all this. And by the way, if he did, how narcissistic can you get? I have been in D.C., ladies and gentlemen, for well over 20 years. I've seen people laying in state in the Rotunda at the Capitol. I've seen many funerals. I've been to Arlington more times than I can remember. I have never, ever seen anything remotely close to what went on in this town last week. And all for one purpose and one purpose only. And keep in mind, remove Meghan McCain out of the equation for a second. To make a fool out of Donald Trump. And a lot went through my mind. Keep in mind, this is not the family doing all this. As we heard repeated over and over and over, John McCain planned every meticulous detail in the events that took place last week. That was what consumed the last couple months of his life, was his hatred for Donald Trump. You look at who gave the eulogy Thursday at the National Cathedral. Neither one of those individuals, by the way, he got along very well with. Actually, he didn't play very nice with anybody on Capitol Hill, which is probably why he had so few accomplishments. And I'm not being nasty here, but I'm just trying to connect the dots. And John McCain, even in his death, made this whole thing political. So I'm following in his footsteps here, ladies and gentlemen. The reason why there were 4 events was to make a point by not inviting Donald Trump. And then Meghan McCain put the icing on the cake with her remarks, and that's what's getting played over and over and over. Was she right? Was she wrong? It's up to her, ladies and gentlemen. It's up to her. She has the right to say whatever she wants as she's giving the eulogy for her father. I don't fault her for that. And you know what? I have personal grievances. My father passed away 10 years ago that I never let go. So I can respect that. But I'm trying to figure out, for someone that had more recognition than former presidents, why? And as I'm being criticized for calling out John McCain over the years, who has been a weak Republican, and I'm doing the show prep here, and I'm trying to figure out, why was he a maverick? Okay, so he worked on an immigration bill with Ted Kennedy that came up short. That the focal point of it was not border security. It was backdoor amnesty. And then he did it again in 2013 on the Gang of Eight. Keep in mind, he's a senator of Arizona, of all places, whose number one initiative in Washington, D.C. was pushing weak immigration policies. And then, not only do you not invite Donald Trump to any of your 3 public funerals, and we'll get to that in 1 second on why I do believe that is significant, then you give the shaft to Sarah Palin. And Sarah Palin, who I've personally met, by the way, and is a very nice, pleasant, smart woman, has been crucified by the media, crucified by this country because of her personality, which John McCain knew what her personality was going into it. And keep in mind, he did not put her on the ticket to have a woman. It wasn't we needed to acquire the woman vote. The problem was he wasn't conservative. And he wasn't Republican. Maybe in name only. And that was a real concern with the campaign. And Sarah Palin, say what you will about her, was a true conservative. And the country embraced her, what, Kelly, for a cup of coffee? A week? 2 weeks? And then got as nasty as I have seen on anybody running for public office before Donald Trump came along. Now, let me preface this. I have never served in the military. But I have a lot of friends that have. And I have a lot of respect for the military. And it takes a certain kind of American to do that. Especially over the last 15 years when this country has been in perpetual war. So it's not like you sign up for the military, you try to squeak out 4 years, you get an education, maybe some money, and then you go to the private sector. Odds are, you go into the military right now, you're being deployed multiple times. But there's a saying in the military that you leave nobody behind. And what John McCain is most known for is the heroic actions he took over in Vietnam. When he was a prisoner of war for years, had the opportunity to be released, and refused to be released until the rest of his men could come with him. And that is honorable. It's also what those guys do for a job. Which is why we respect the military as much as we do. I can't sympathize with that. I can't relate to it. I also can't relate jumping out of a helicopter with an M16 in the desert, getting shot at. I can't fathom that. I can't. But that's what these guys do. Not only do they not leave living soldiers behind, they don't leave dead ones behind. No man left behind. Now, you can make the argument, and I would agree with you, that what John McCain did was above and beyond the call of duty. No question about that. And I have always been grateful for the service that he gave to this country in the military. And for that, he should have earned the Congressional Medal of Honor, which for some reason he never did. At least to my knowledge. If I'm off point on that, my apologies. But I assumed he would have, actually. And as I did my research on it, there were various petitions over the years, but John McCain he received a lot of medals for valor, but never the Congressional Medal of Honor, which is the highest honor that can be given to a soldier. Do I necessarily have a problem with him laying in state in the rotunda at the Capitol? No. It was sort of the ongoing parade of day in, day out, knowing that he planned every aspect of it, with the final private ceremony being at the Naval Academy, which obviously is where he graduated from, yesterday, on Sunday. So what John McCain is best known for and most loved and appreciated for is his military service. And the way he spent the last few months of his life was figuring out the best way to publicly disrespect the commander-in-chief, the current commander-in-chief, which of course is Donald Trump. Now, you may hate Donald Trump, and a lot of people do. You may like Donald Trump and say, you know what, but his angle of attack, it's not presidential. There's a decorum that comes with that office. And you'd be right about that also. So this is not an assessment of Donald Trump. One thing that you cannot dispute right now is he is the current commander-in-chief of the military. And something that I've learned from members of the military, and this is going back to the Obama administration, who was, in my humble opinion, one of the worst commander-in-chiefs of the military in recent U.S. history. Here's a commander-in-chief that was depleting the U.S. Navy to pre-1942 levels. Here's a commander-in-chief that is giving the enemy over in Afghanistan our exit date, saying just ride it out this much longer. I don't think Barack Obama had any real love for the military. But the friends that I had that were currently serving or did serve under President Obama respected him as a commander-in-chief. There is a different relationship between a soldier and the president than the president and his countrymen. There just is. No matter how much you dislike the guy. And that's one of the things with the military is the chain of command. And John McCain wanted to be idolized. And he wanted to make a point on what a jerk Donald Trump is. And he wanted his final resting place to be at the Naval Academy in Annapolis. So when soldiers or cadets walk by that are going to be, commanders, when they graduate, they get to look and reminisce about John McCain. And I guess that's what he wants to be known for. And listen, ladies and gentlemen, my heart goes out to John McCain that he knew that the end of his life was near, that he wasn't able to enjoy it. I mean, obviously he was consumed with revenge and getting back at Donald Trump. And even Ted Cruz, with all the deplorable things that Donald Trump said to Cruz, he was able to get over it for political reasons. He was pragmatic about it. Now maybe you can say that John McCain has more character, and you wouldn't forgive Donald Trump. I'm not sure that I would if he said those things about my wife or my father. But because he's not pragmatic, it also may be why he wasn't a very successful U.S. Senator. But what he's known for, and what really started to really rub me after day 3 of these ceremonies, was the attack on the commander-in-chief. When what John McCain is known and loved for is his service. Now, they may appreciate him on Capitol Hill, in the House and the Senate. They've worked with him. They have a personal relationship with him. Completely ineffective senator. Look at his record. A couple boutique things here and there, but nothing of any great significance. And what the country knows him for is his service. And the whole point of these charades last week, which is what they were, so it was not a memorial, it was not a single funeral, it was a political charade. That's what it was to throw the commander-in-chief under the bus. At a time when we have men and women that are giving their lives daily to defend freedom and liberty in this country. Which is why it angers people when asses like Kaepernick and the Baltimore Ravens and the rest of these chumps pull that stunt. It's why it inflames those emotions. And John McCain, in a very artful way, in a very Trojan horse way, did the exact same thing. As indirect as it may have been. And it's sad because now who's taken the flack on that stunt is his daughter. And look, what show? She's on The View, or she's on one of those shows. Politically speaking, I've never been a big fan of Meghan McCain. But again, it's her father's funeral, and the third one at that. I'm trying to figure out why he was laying in state at the Capitol. Real quick, point of order. There's a difference between laying in state, laying in honor. So you have to have served or been a politician to lay in state. A regular civilian can lay in honor, and we've seen that recently. Billy Graham laid in honor. Rosa Parks laid in honor. I'm sorry, I don't put John McCain on the same pedestal as either one of those people. His military service definitely supersedes, over what either one of those people did, Rosa Parks or Billy Graham. But as far as a national impact, you can make the argument that the actions that Rosa Parks took was one of, there were multiple turning points in the civil rights movement, but that was one of the turning points of what led to the Civil Rights Act that started to put segregation in the rearview mirror. Had national ongoing consequences in a very positive way. A battle we're still fighting today, but that she was part of a pivotal point in that. Billy Graham, he's touched millions and millions and millions of lives. Has John McCain touched millions and millions and millions of lives? And I will not take the politics out of politics. I won't do it. I would never do this soliloquy if the senator had passed, they did a funeral, and Meghan McCain made the remarks that she made. I never would be doing this right now. But John McCain wanted to make his point after death. And the media took the bone, and he knew they would. So you don't invite Sarah Palin. You don't invite Donald Trump. So you know the story is going to be, and you were able to drag it out over, a week with 4 different events, would be anti-Trump. And that's fine. That's fine. He's the President of the United States. To the victor goes the spoils. So what's Trump supposed to do? He goes out and plays golf. Now, look, I think Donald Trump plays way too much golf. They criticize him for that. So I don't know. I wanted to defend myself, I guess. And it's no shot as John McCain as a man. I never met the guy. I don't know as a man. I'm sure he was obviously an amazing soldier. And I'm sure he was an amazing father and an amazing husband. But that's not the relationship that he has with America. And there's lots of amazing fathers and husbands that die every day that are not laying in state or in honor in the rotunda of the U.S. Capitol, or have 4 network televised funerals. But again, nothing against him as a man, but I just think the whole thing last week was somewhat ridiculous. And that's that. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a jam-packed week coming up. Obviously, Supreme Court hearings are going to begin on Capitol Hill. I believe that starts tomorrow. Free trade still going on with Canada. An awful lot going on. Ladies and gentlemen, you can catch the Jimmy Mathis Show Monday through Friday. I apologize, a little bit delinquent last week. Had some health stuff that I was dealing with. I'm okay, but I apologize for the show not being on last week. But Monday through Friday, you can hear the program, all the normal platforms, iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube. Of course, your number one destination should be jimmymathisshow.com. Send your emails there. Send your emails if you disagree with what I said today. I haven't done any interaction with the emails. I have gotten emails. By the way, the reason I did this today was I got a lot of emails on people that were frustrated with what they saw last week. So that was why I decided to do this show today. And one of my concerns was the too soon. It's not too soon. It wasn't too soon last week. This was by design. So this is not fake news, as we hear about all the time. But send your emails. Again, you can always reach me at jimmymathisshow.com. Everybody, happy Labor Day. Have a great day. See you tomorrow. Bye.